Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And what is up, you guys? Welcome into the stream as your 21-9 first place best record in all of baseball. New York Mets are back in action here today, taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 2 after taking the series opener on Tuesday night in an 8-3 victory. What's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro. Usual housekeeping business here. If you are new to the channel, I do daily Mets content like the TikToks and the shorts that I posted here today. Number one, the Mets should sign David Robertson yesterday, especially after the news we're about to get into. More moves in the bullpen coming up here this afternoon. And number two, regarding the Mets starting pitching rotation, making more history. So be sure to subscribe to me, leave this video a like, and you can follow all of my other accounts down here in the bio below. So the New York Mets looking to make it 3 straight. They came off the series split of the 4 games with the Nationals over the weekend, but took the opener yesterday over an Arizona team that scored the most runs in baseball last year, and the Mets outright dominated them, scoring all 8 of their runs in the first 3 innings. Compliments of Tyrone Taylor, Jose Azocar, and then the usual more normal suspects, Starling Marte, Pete Alonso, and Francisco Lindor, all leaving the yard with home runs as they take home the 8-3 victory. So today, Game 2, it's going to be a little bit of a different one, though, as we're accustomed to getting this great starting pitching from the normal 5 in the rotation. Yesterday, it was David Peterson's turn to do that. And today, instead, the Mets will be going with a opener. So we know that the Mets are in a stretch right now of 13 games in 13 days. This is the second time that they've had to do it already this month. They just came off a 13-game day stretch, or a 13-game stretch over 13 games right before Thursday when they had an off day before the Nationals series. Well, they're now in the middle of another one, and they want to keep Kodai Senga on that extended rest. It's something we know that they have been preaching since they signed him basically in 2023. So the Mets are trying to keep him on his normal routine, and so the Mets have called up Brandon Waddell, and so he is not actually going to be the opener for this one. Instead, it's going to be Huascar Brazoban pitching at least for the first inning, maybe even the first 2. And this is not the first time that Brazoban has been asked to be an opener. He also did it on the road in Minnesota in one of the games during that series. I believe it was in the finale where the Mets were walked off and lost. But Brazoban's been great this year. That ERA in the low 1s, and he has been tremendous out of the bullpen. He was solid in that one other time that the Mets did ask him to be an opener. But the Mets' plan is for the bulk guy, that's a new baseball term I hadn't heard before, to be Brandon Waddell. And Waddell is a guy that's been well traveled and not necessarily here on the domestic front of things. So Waddell had previously pitched in the major leagues, but has not actually pitched in Major League Baseball since 2021. He has spent most of the last 3 seasons pitching in the KBO, the Korean Baseball League, as well as in the Chinese League over there. He just signed this offseason with the New York Mets on a minor league deal, so maybe the pitching lab saw something in the 30-year-old that they liked, because so far things have been going really well for him down in AAA, or I should say up in AAA Syracuse. A 1.74 ERA so far for the Syracuse Mets, 5th lowest in the AAA league that they play in, and he's been really solid. He's 3-0 so far. He has a really strong K to walk ratio, not something that he really had ever done in either his major league career or in his time overseas in Korea or in China. So obviously, the Mets pitching lab, we know, have done miracles on a lot of their guys with Griffin Canning, Tyler McGill, last year Sean Manaea, Luis Severino. They're hoping to maybe catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle here with Brandon Waddell, see if he'll be able to at least give them a couple of innings of some quality pitching today as they try to figure out the rest of their staff, because right now it is in a flux. Fortunately, the starting rotation appears to be very healthy. There's no issues there, but the bullpen continues to take hits. Number one, we know AJ Minter went for an MRI on Tuesday. That came back to Mendoza, who basically told the media that they are seeking a second opinion, but it does sound like if he were to require surgery that it would be season ending. So that would be very unfortunate. Of course, suffering the lat strain after Saturday where he recorded the first out of the 8th inning and then departed in obvious discomfort. So it's very possible the Mets will be without A.J. Minter for the remainder of the year, which would really be a blow to this bullpen. He has a 1.13 ERA over 13 appearances so far. He has been solid as the co-setup man with Ryan Stanton getting the ball to Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. There's really no replacing him, which is unfortunate. And things only kind of got worse here today because the other lefty in the Mets bullpen, Danny Young, was just placed on the 15-day injured list himself moments ago. It was about 20 minutes ago or so that the Mets announced that Danny Young has been placed on the injured list with what they're calling an elbow sprain. So say what you want about Danny Young. Probably the lowest on the totem pole out of this bullpen, but now they're left with literally no left-handers out of their bullpen at the moment, with A.J. Minter down and with Danny Young also now down. So the Mets, in an exchange move, have called up Chris Davinsky from AAA. So Davinsky has had a pretty successful career over his time here in the big leagues. He was most recently with the Rays last year in 2024, but was designated for assignment. The Mets signed him to a minor league contract this previous offseason. And now the Mets are hoping to get a little bit of help from him as a lefty that can actually work out of the bullpen for them. So Danny Young, again, left elbow sprain, obviously his pitching arm. He has been placed on the 15-day DL. And Chris Davinsky was called up from AAA Syracuse. Take a look at Davinsky's numbers here over the most recent time. Last year, like I said, was with Tampa Bay. He appeared in 26.2 innings pitched and had a 6.75 ERA. So obviously it was not very pretty, but that's coming after 2023. 8.2 innings, obviously very small sample size, but a 2.09 ERA. So really, it's been a slog of the last couple years for Davinsky after having a pretty successful start to his career with Houston. He bounced around. He actually played with the Arizona Diamondbacks for a little while. He was with Philly for a little while, the LA Angels, and then that little bit of time with Tampa Bay. So again, the Mets are trying to catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle. They are shorthanded right now with A.J. Minter down and with Danny Young down. So they're hoping Davinsky and Brandon Waddell will just be able to basically eat some innings up for them right now until they get healthy. We actually just got a report from SMY that Dedno Nunez is potentially on his way back to the Mets big league roster. So a lot of us, myself included, have been asking, especially in the wake of the Minter injury news, where is Dedno Nunez? We thought that he would be out for maybe the first 2 weeks of the season while they ramped him up. They kept him on a very slow pace leading to the opening day or to opening day. And it's been obviously much longer than that. We're now a full month into the season, 30 games in, and we thought that Dedno Nunez would already be up. He's been touching 99 with his fastball. He has walked 7 guys in 9 innings. The report from SMY is that was more weather-related than actual stuff from him. And for him to be touching 99 with the fastball is obviously a very good sign. So I wouldn't be surprised that at the end of this series with the Diamondbacks that concludes tomorrow, Thursday afternoon, that the Mets do recall Dedno Nunez, and he likely takes the place of Brandon Waddell, who they're hoping, again, will soak up some innings for them today in Game 2 of this series. So something to keep an eye on. But if you watched any of my YouTube content from today, I said it. The Mets should sign David Robertson immediately. I mean, he is sitting out there as a free agent right now. We, of course, are familiar with Robertson, having pitched for the Mets in 2023, assumed the closer's role for the Mets when Edwin Diaz went down in the World Baseball Classic with that torn ACL, and he was excellent in the first half. It was actually almost kind of a sign of the Mets waving the white flag during that season when they decided to trade Robertson to the Miami Marlins, who were contending for a playoff spot that year. That kind of set the dominoes in effect that led to the Max Scherzer trade and then eventually the Justin Verlander trade as well. I would say the Mets have made out very well in those trades since. But getting back to Robertson, he was solid for the Rangers last year, had an ERA of exactly 3 in 72 innings, and his FIP was even lower at 2.65, meaning he probably pitched even better if he was in a different ballpark or had some better defense behind him. So personally, If I were the Mets, David Robertson is sitting on his couch. Yes, he's 40 years old, but obviously, if he was just doing it last year, there may still be something left in the tank for him. He would be a perfect replacement for AJ Minter because while he's not a lefty, he does pitch effectively against both left-handed and right-handed batters. In fact, he's more effective against left-handers throughout his career than he is against righty batters. So personally, I think it's a perfect replacement if you're able to get David Robertson, bring him in, and see if he does have anything left in the tank. And of course, this is all dependent on, does David Robertson want to pitch anymore, or does he want to live a life with his family at this point? He is 40 years old. Maybe that's why he is still a free agent, but he's familiar with New York, obviously started his career with the Yankees, had a second stint with them, and then pitched with the Mets in 2023 as well. I think they even flirted in the following offseason about a potential return to the orange and blue. So if the scenario is right, if it's a good fit, maybe Robertson would be interested in that. So that, again, is something to keep an eye on. Two things that I think could bolster this Mets bullpen, which is obviously taking a bit of a hit this week with the AJ Minter and now Danny Young injury news. So that's what I'll be keeping an eye on for sure. Raul Almanzar, let's go Mets, world champs 2025. Yeah, baby, let's go. Your lips to God's ears, man. I've never seen one in my life. I am 30 years old. 2006 was obviously one of the closest, and then 2015. Last year was a magical run. I am waiting to see one. 2000, I was a little bit too young, but I still do remember that, and waking up the next morning after Game 5 asking my parents, did the Mets win? And they said no, and I cried. So I've seen a lot of heartache, but hopefully you're right. 2025 World Series champ. So let's get into today's matchup. Like I said, Huascar Brazoban is going to be the opener for the Mets. And then going across from them is their former, I wouldn't call him, I guess adversary. Sure. He was a great pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers for a number of years. Last year signed with, or was traded to the Baltimore Orioles, and then signed a free agent deal this offseason with the Diamondbacks. And that is former Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burns. So let's take a look at the lineups for today for the Mets. It is pretty typical of what we've seen out here for the last several weeks. You got your usual culprits at the top, and that, of course, is Francisco Lindor leading off, who, again, had a home run yesterday. His lone hit in 4 at-bats, followed by Juan Soto. Another tough 0 for 3 as he's been spraying the ball. If you look at his hard hit percentage, if you look at his barrel percentage, if you look at all that stuff, he is in like the 90th percentile for it all. The guy just cannot catch a break. I'm hoping he finally breaks through with that first Mets Citi Field home run tonight or tomorrow before they go back out on the road. And then, of course, Pete Alonso staying red hot. A solo shot for him yesterday. He is batting third. After that, with Burns, the righty, on the mound, you have Mark Vientos hitting cleanup. Apparently, Brandon Nimmo is still suffering from this virus. Carlos Mendoza talked about it today in his pregame presser. He said it's not like what Jesse Winker was experiencing when they were in Oakland a couple of weeks ago, or Sacramento, whatever you want to call it. It's different. It's, I guess, kind of like a flu thing, like a bug. So hopefully Nimmo's okay, but a little alarming, not in the lineup there again. So best wishes to Nimmo. I'm sure he will be fine. After Marte, Jeff McNeil is back in there. He is getting his first appearance in left field of this season. Francisco Alvarez hit 7th and catching. Luis Angel Acuna back in there playing second base, hitting 8th. Love that, seeing him score on that double down the left field line from Tyrone Taylor yesterday. The dude is a speed demon. Like I've said, I'm a proponent of Luis Angel Acuna starting every day. I would put Jeff McNeil in left field more often and DH Brandon Nimmo a little more often to keep him off his feet and fresh and healthy. I think that would benefit everybody, and I love Acuna playing for the Mets. I think he brings such a different dynamic with that speed on the base pass, with his great defense up the middle. That's just me. Call me crazy. And then Tyrone Taylor rounds things out, hitting 9th, playing center field. Amazing catch yesterday out in left center field. Gap going fully horizontal, head going toward the wall and the warning track. Unbelievable catch by him. He's heating up at the plate. 2 more RBIs yesterday, a double and a base knock. So really happy to see that after he was struggling in the early going of this season. So It's going to be interesting to see what the Mets get out of Waddell, like I said, what they get out of Huascar Brazoban. I'd guess that their plan is to try to get at least 1 or 2 innings from Brazoban and then hopefully 3 to 4 from Waddell, depending on how things are going, and just piece it all together from there. I think it will totally be score dependent. They're not going to give their big guns a lot of time out there or make them throw a lot of innings and pitches if it's a lopsided game one way or the other. I'm not saying it's a punt game, but it's definitely one where the Mets have a big disadvantage. Corbin Burns, like I said, the former Cy Young on the mound, and the Mets going with a ragtag group of bullpen guys. So we'll see how that works out. Let's take a look. Corbin Burns hasn't exactly gotten off to the best foot with his new team here after signing that big contract with them this offseason, and it was a big deal. I mean, he got, I think it was close to $200 million, if not over $200 million from the Diamondbacks this year, and that is so interesting because it just goes completely against everything that is David Stern's philosophy about starting pitching. This guy's now 30 years old. Don't get me wrong, the resume is as impressive as they come, but again, the age is a factor. Stearns is just not interested in signing those older pitchers that have a lot of mileage on their arms to these long-term deals. And so far, again, the results haven't been great for Burns. His last time out against the Tampa Bay Rays, he pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 run, 8 strikeouts. So that was actually probably his best start of the year so far. It was the fewest amount of earned runs that he has given up in any particular start. He has been giving the Diamondbacks length, 5, 6 innings. So he's been doing okay in that department. And really, it's not been anything terrible. His worst start, he gave up 4 earned runs over 5 innings. That was his second time out of the year. That was against that pesky Washington Nationals team. We as Mets fans know all about that from this previous series. But overall for the season, he is 0-1, still seeking that first win in his new threads, a 4.05 ERA. And it's just a little probably underwhelming from what fans of the Diamondbacks were probably expecting. Again, it's early on. You know, the whole team is obviously in a little bit of a slump. They're now 15-14, so they're a little below expectations from where they probably imagined they'd be, especially after coming off of last year where they were the highest scoring team in all of baseball. But I think Corbin Burns is still going to be that guy, at least for the first couple years of that contract with Arizona. Let's see if we can get the Mets numbers against Corbin Burns all time in this one. And guys, drop a comment in the section over here to your left or right below. I don't know where it is. What is your prediction for this game? Sound off in the chat. Let me know. What is your final score prediction? Do you think the Mets win this one, take another series, win their 3rd in a row, or do you think everything is just mounting up too much against them with a former Cy Young on the mound, with a guy that was pitching in Korea last year, and Huascar Brazoban and the rest of the bullpen trying to piece things together? If that's the case, so be it. I'll be perfectly okay with that happening. Hopefully the Mets can persevere, though, and prevail. Here are the Mets numbers against Corbin Burns lifetime. If I can pull them up right here, and here we go. Or do I? Todd Zeal's distracting the hell out of me, I'm telling you. Love the guy, but sometimes I'm like, all right, dude, that voice, it could be a lot. You know what? We don't have him here. But let's just run through what the Mets batting average and their OPS so far this year. Obviously, Lindor very healthy, 302, 895 OPS. Soto, I mean, what can you say? It's been frustrating. I mean, even yesterday, he hit a ball on the screws right to center field, right at the guy. I mean, I've been saying this for weeks now. The guy is hitting the ball hard. He's going to the opposite field now, but he's just not getting the results. It's going to come eventually. Personally, I'll take Mets wins over Soto individual success any day of the week. It's just a matter of time before Soto starts breaking out, getting the results on the balls that he puts in play, and the Mets hopefully continue winning as well. Pete Alonso just absolutely killing it. 346 average, OPS over 1,100. I mean, just unbelievable. Mark Vientos slowly coming along now. That batting average is up to 210. The OPS still very low at 662, but obviously he has looked much better over the last 2 weeks or so. Starling Marte also starting to get himself together. 184 average still, so very a lot to be desired yet, but definitely has looked a lot better. Had that home run yesterday, had the walk-off blue pit against the Phillies in that series finale. That was great to see. Even Jeff McNeil's hitting 333. Very small sample size, I know, but really good to see McNeil coming out and not giving us that usual temper tantrum, throwing his helmet, throwing his bat crap for the whole month until he finally starts to get right. So Francisco Alvarez, 235, 749 OPS. He had that laser of a home run on Saturday against the Nationals, so loved that. And then Luis Angel Acuna hitting an even 300 on the year. So it's all coming together for this Mets lineup. It's just a matter of time, if you ask me, before Juan Soto starts doing Juan Soto things. I think the Mets are going to get the real Juan Soto sooner rather than later. And when he does, watch out, because this lineup could be 1 through 9, one of, if not the deepest in the league, if they all hit to their potential. If you get what we were expecting out of Francisco Alvarez, I'll even lower the expectations a little bit. Let's just say, give me 20 homers, give me that 250 average out of the catcher spot. You combine that with what they'll get out of Luis Torrens in what will probably be 60 to 70 games this season. Brandon Nimmo hopefully starting to heat up if he gets back to his normal on-base and OPS numbers. I have no expectations for Jeff McNeil. I'm sorry, and it's not because I think he's terrible. I'm just saying I can't give expectations when I just don't know what he is anymore. You know, we got 316 batting title winner of 2022, and then the last 2 years he's been a 250 guy. So I can't give any expectations. Whatever they get from him will just be gravy. Pete Alonso is on an MVP like tear right now. I mean, I don't expect him to hit 350 for the rest of the season. I don't expect him to have a near 1,200 OPS for the rest of the season. But can he hit 40 home runs? Can he hit even 280? That's 70 points lower than where he is right now. So, I am lowering the expectations based on just return to the mean. But I think if you get those kinds of numbers out of Pete, 280, 40 home run season, you get what you gotten out of Lindor over the last 3 years, which is basically a 30 home run bat with 90 to 100 RBIs. And then Juan Soto, let's just say 25 homers, 80 RBIs, and that would be probably a down Juan Soto year, which so far a month in is how it's looking. This is one of the deepest lineups in all of baseball. And I fully believe that they're going to be in the market to get some bats, to get some relievers, maybe even some starting pitching come the trade deadline as well. I think David Stearns knows when to strike when the iron is hot. And if this team continues to play at this kind of pace, which is basically 680 winning percentage baseball, he's going to do everything he can to supplement it to help them put them over the top and win a World Series. What do you guys think? If you were sitting here today, if you were in David Stearns' office, what would you say to him is one of the biggest needs that they have right now? And obviously, it's only a month into the season. Things are going to change. They literally changed within 20 minutes with that announcement of Danny Young now being put on the injured list. But if you could tell David Stearns one thing to improve this team on, what would it be? For me, personally, it's definitely going to be the bullpen. Obviously, now with the potential of having no A.J. Minter for the rest of the year, Edwin Diaz has been a little shaky, obviously. I think the easiest fix to improve this team by the biggest amount would be to go out and get some bullpen arms come the deadline. So let me know in the comment section below, guys. That's going to do it for our pregame stream. Mets about to begin Game 2 with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Be sure to tune back in tonight when we have our post-game recap. Hopefully another big W for your 21-9 first place New York Mets. That'll do it for right now. I'm Tony Metro. Until then, stay true to the orange and blue.